Hello, one more podcast today on the skin. So we get a lot of people calling, Instagram, different people, feedback, emails, talking about using our product for the skin, using it for beauty, facial, skincare, acne, dermatosis, eczema, psoriasis, Pytriasis, different types of skin conditions um, which I believe are already well known in conjunction with magnesium in general, like magnesium chloride. I mean, if we go all the way back to people taking trips to the Dead Sea and and magnesia in Greece and the Roman bath culture, you're going to have tons of examples of skin, lung, and different other types of conditions which are healed through magnesium-rich waters and absorption with the skin. So that being said, we have to find a purer source today than the Dead Sea. The Dead Sea has a lot of bromine. There's other things happening there. It's not, flyover and ambient pollution, and so we're in a different world today. So and then travel and everything else. So trying to find a better, more modern solution with a more pure molecular form, and not through some amazing technology of molecularization. This is just because it found in its natural state a 250 million year old sea in block formation, which crystallized as bischofite, this natural stone that contains magnesium chloride, and we just add water, send water down there. It dissolves into it, down into the layer, this geologic strata layer, and pull that same product back up to the surface and bottle it. So it's not like we're doing some high-tech thing, with the exception of engineering, to get there, to get us to that point. But the product itself is pure and natural. So, but that gives it its high molecular quality. So, what it can do for the skin and the hair, we talked about the hair in the previous podcast, but so for the skin, as you apply it to the skin, it goes in through the follicles. So you have the sweat glands and the hair follicles, and these things bring in minerals. If you look up a chunk of skin, dermal layer, you look at these follicles and you see where they lead and everything else and how they connect, you're going to see the veins coming and connecting all of this. So this whole idea that nothing passes through the skin, this is like telling an alcoholic to just drink wine. It's like it doesn't work, and it's based on a form of ignorance, which we can have sympathy for because not everybody knows everything or all these situations, but it does come from a world of ignorance. And so this idea that the skin is just inert and doesn't do anything, and that these little holes there, well, it doesn't connect, and it's like, okay, whatever. So our whole history shows that bathing in these waters had a beneficial effect. So we're coming back to the key component behind this, which was magnesium chloride. So not magnesium threonate and glycinate and bisglycinate and all these other types, which are made all naturally in the body from the chloride base. Of course, those molecules can be handy for a quicker, hit or a dose in certain conditions. But if you're using the right chloride on through the skin long term, and you're saving a lot of money because it's not a patented molecule, then you're going to be able to create all of these internally as your body needs those through the acidification processes of the skin and its microflora, which is like fermentation has a flora, like even fermented sauerkraut has a flora. It's the same with your skin. So there's an acid level to it. The first level of the skin is acidic, and then you get down to the lipid layers and the fats, and there's conjugations there. So you have your glycinates and you have your citrates. You have all these possibilities. Threonate, which is also an acidification process. So you have all of these processes happening down into the natural R form dextrosure in the body, without the need for all the labs and everything else. What happens in the body with things is different than outside in a lab. We call those levrogir, but they work differently. I mean, because there's a living way to do this, and then there's a mechanical way to do this. So try to find the most direct that you can. And so this is some wisdom here about magnesium that our ancestors have left for us. So applying this on the skin. If you have skin conditions, you don't always have to apply it exactly where you have the condition, eczema or whatever, especially if it's inflamed or whatever. It's like you don't put fire on fire. And even though this is like the circulation in a bottle, this kind of transdermal magnesium, it's not, it's still intense. And so, especially because we don't dilute, we don't cut, we allow you full dosage so you can get to the right level you need. And we tell you that instead of just diluting it and then not writing and just, yeah, this is transdermal, magnesium oil. It doesn't sting, we write that on the bottom. Finally, one that doesn't sting, and it's like, yeah, because we deneutered it and we took all the life out of it and gave you and mixed it with water and sold it to you in a plastic bottle. So anyway, when you apply it to the skin, that fire can be too intense for certain areas. So sometimes you can dilute it and still apply it to those areas. Like doctors were doing that during the First and Second World War with magnesium chloride on wounds, but they had it at 15% with the 85% being water, spring water. So that's another way to cut it. And then otherwise you can do it pure off zone, like just doing the treatment, the application for 2 to 4 months, even longer, depending on the person, or if you're sporty or you're active, maybe you want to go year round. A lot of them do, and they use it everywhere, all over the body. So especially the head, which is interesting. And for detoxification of aluminum from the brain and some other features that it's hard to get things distributed in the body where you need them. So this is an intelligent way to do that. So using this for the skin, we have a lot of young people who call in with acne problems. They use it for that. You don't have to put it directly on the acne, because that's kind of like a little bit, like, oh, here's the problem. Oh, go the problem. It doesn't always work that way. The acne is typically something coming from something backed up in the liver, which is being delegated through the skin. And there can also be local things that are happening from things we're putting on our face, etc. But generally, it's coming from an overall phenomenon, and a lot of which can be a retinol deficiency from natural fermented cod liver oil, which brings you a high level of retinol, which hasn't been stripped away from other cofactors. So any vitamin deficiency needs to be done in synergy. You don't need to do it with just, oh, vitamin A, we're going to kill that one. Now let's kill vitamin D. It's like, find products that contain both, or do both together. So, and the best way to do it together without making mistakes is natural products like cod liver oil, fermented, etc., and not trying to play math games with supplements. So, and the skin also plays a key role, because it's going to help filter the magnesium and get the right amount in and the right type of molecular form it needs to convert it into. So the skin does all this. So many things happen in the skin. The vitamin D conversion happens in the skin. That's its first phase. The second phase happens in the liver, but the first phase happens in the skin. The magnesium is the same acidification process. So the first phase of this integration, digestion, you could say, of our body through the skin comes through that dermal layer. So people have used it. We've had people use it on Pytriasis and Psoriasis and other things that they couldn't shake. There was a woman in the South using it as a first layer in a 20-minute massage, and then doing the last 20 minutes with like shea butter, like unrefined, the bright yellow stuff, not the stuff you buy at Whole Foods. I mean, maybe you can find unrefined now because it's becoming popular. But before it was like they didn't want to smell, they didn't want any of that, so they refined it. So getting the right stuff and letting this push through has helped a lot of people with those conditions. I had one lady that was even upset with us because she had reddening all over her back when she used the product. She didn't read to go progressively, and she just put it over. And she said, well, it's funny, after a month of complaining to you, like the problem hasn't come back. My Pytriasis has not come back. I'm saying that in French. I don't know if that's the English version of it. But anyway, this hasn't come back. And so she was happy after that. And I was like, well, you see, the product has a personality. It's not mean. There's nothing mean about it, but it'll wake you up in the morning. This kind of intensity that it has. Sometimes it tingles, sometimes it stings. But this is usually at the beginning of your introduction to it for a few weeks and stuff, and you get through that, and there can be a sign of the deficiency through that too. So don't just abandon because something is unagreeable for a second. Watch it and watch what happens. And so anyway, the skin, powerful stuff for the skin, for different types of conditions. Try it out, check it out. For beauty, for the regeneration of skin. Magnesium in seawater. Seawater like tendency dries the skin, but then it regenerates the skin. And so it's the same with the magnesium. It seems to dry because it's like a dry oil, but then it regenerates. So you want to use this for skin, for hair, for teeth, for just health in general, even for stress and the nervous system, applying it every day on the abdomen. Or whatever. So anyway, get the right stuff. Don't get the fake stuff. Always get the blue glass bottles without endocrine disruptors. No plastic stuff for this. Get the right stuff. It's the biggest deficiency in the world. 800 processes in the human body. We don't want endocrine bleached plastics attached to the magnesium molecule in the body. And we also want it to be coming from the real Zechstein. You can't verify Zechstein origins with the word Zechstein, genuine, ancient, Permian. All this stuff does not work. Authentic, none of those labels mean anything because there's only one place that does the labeling in Holland for this natural discovery of this huge geological strata layer of pure magnesium chloride and called bischofite, which is a rare phenomenon. It doesn't mean that it's an exploitation because there's tons of it and for 1,000 years worth of it. But we need to know where the quality is and not go through the Asian export. They send you tons of products. It looks like you have a whole line and you're selling Transdermal Magnesium and everybody's happy, but you're not. It's not the same at the molecular level, and you're bringing other harm into the body. So you want to do it right. It's only $3 a month. Get it with the Zechstein. $3 a week to use the product at its full capacity. It's not diluted like most brands, not solvent extracted, not chemically treated. It has the Zechstein Inside logo. Come check us out at theheartoftradition.com.